Lewis Show. We're here to inspire you to your next level.
Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the Juneann Lewis Show. This is your host, Juneann Lewis. And look, you guys know I always say I bring you educational, motivational, inspirational content. Today's this guest that I've got have got me rolling on the floor, but this is somebody you need to hear from. This is a world changer and life changer is who I'm talking to you about. This particular guest, and I'm going to tell you, he is one of those individuals that when I say had me rolling on the floor, his mantra is, he is allergic to drama, he's allergic to foolishness and small thinking. Now that's already a mind changer, and it can blow your mind with that type of thinking that he has. He loves God. He was born in Reginald, Georgia, father of 3, grandfather of 1 granddaughter and 2 grandsons, 20 years retired Air Force. So he's been in the military, he's served our country, and has earned the right for us to listen to him automatically. His business brand is something that I'm fantastically impressed with. It is stop wasting your time. Now, immediately, that speaks to a lot of people, including myself. Stop wasting your time. He's part of the Mr. 1% Unlimited Thinking trademark. That's powerful. The mission is to empower all interested in living their purpose, and we all should be interested in living our purpose. He's a certified financial literary educator, and his mind is nutrition purpose. He's a nutrition purpose coach, trains you how to think like a billionaire, not a millionaire, a billionaire before you transition from this earth. I love it. I love it. My guest today, without any apprehension, is Dr. Miller. Yes, Dr. Miller, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure to be here.
For being on this show. Yes. Listen, it's your pleasure, but it's my pleasure as well to have you. Dr. Miller, I'd like for you to do something. Because my audience benefit from people like yourself, please introduce yourself to my audience.
Well, listen, everybody. My born name is Micheal Miller. I was born in Reynolds, Georgia, on a farm, lived there for the first 10 years. Then in 1970, my father moved us to St. Petersburg, Florida. From there, I went into the United States Air Force because one of 2 things were going to happen. I was going to get killed or go to jail, and I didn't want neither.
Dr. Miller, I'm going to stop you. You're speaking of a major issue. This is back in what year?
Between the years of 1970 to 1978.
You took the one that took you to another level in your life, which is joining the Air Force.
Yes.
Now, after you got into the Air Force, please tell me a little bit about what your transition was, how you managed, because you spent 20 years. So something must have went right during that 20 years in order for you to say 20 years. Please tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I always have to go back to my mentors.
Okay.
My great-grandmother, my grandfather, his mother lived to be 102.
Wow.
He lived to be 99. And my mother, who lived to be 80. And those 3 people, out of all the children, they would make me sit down at their feet when everybody else was playing and say, come here, we want to talk to you. Now, as a child, I didn't understand that. I was like, well, why are they treating me like this and nobody else? But as I grew older, I realized I was being prepared for what I do now.
They saw the vision in you. They already saw who you were. And it's like most children. I know I had a daughter that was track and field. She was excellent in that, and she couldn't see, but your parents see better than you can, because they can see the end result. Yes. Even when you're picking a relationship, sometimes they know better than you, and we need to take those advice. But yes.
Yes, this is true.
Very true.
So, where do I go from there? I went in the United States Air Force. And let me pause just a little bit.
Okay.
Just before I went in the Air Force, people were bullying me often, and I got tired of it. And I was experiencing other challenges as well. So it was just beginning to be too much on me to where I went beyond just anger. I had rage.
Wow.
So that's why I really wanted to get away and go into the military to see if I could get away. Maybe my mind could shift.
Did you experience that mind shift?
I did, but it took time.
Okay.
But the thing that solidified that I needed to go in the Air Force was I did not know I was supposed to prep before taking the test the way I should have.
Right.
So when I took the test and the gentleman said, wow, you passed higher enough to get in the Air Force. So I looked at him, I'm like, don't they all score the same? Because I didn't know.
Right.
I was a 17-year-old, I didn't know any better.
Right.
He said, are you serious? I said, yes, I'm very serious. He said, you know what, young man? You're smarter than you think. It was the first time a male ever said something positive to me.
Wow.
And something clicked in my mind. That was a huge seed for me because I was getting a lot of negativity. I've always been a dreamer.
Growing up,
Yeah.
right, yes.
Whenever I attempted to share my ideas, you think you're better than us. That ain't gonna never happen, and I'm saying it nicely.
Right. But do you know what, Dr. Miller? You said something of your parents bringing you to their feet and trying to speak to you and telling you things. And the reason was because of you just said who you were. You were a dreamer, and they saw that in you, that you had aspirations which the other children more than likely did not have. But go ahead.
And so, by that gentleman saying something positive to me, I start believing in myself more. I did not have a relationship with Christ yet, but just those words of life from another male saying something positive, it's like, well, wow, maybe I can fulfill my dreams.
Maybe you can do something, yes.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. You had anger issues. We know you've already established that. Tell me what that was like for you, dealing with those type of challenges as you were in there, being who you were, coming from where you came from.
Well, the toughest thing was me. Now I had to work as a team with people I didn't know of different nationalities and diversities. And it felt very uncomfortable because I was living in my mind with distrust with people at large. So it was a huge challenge. I would go to work, I wouldn't talk unless I had to. And so a gentleman, his name is Michael Daniels, I will say his name on air.
Yes.
And I will thank God for him every day. I will lightly share.
Okay, go ahead. And stop there. You told me that that's the man that changed your trajectory
Yes.
in terms of who you are today.
Yes.
And that
Most
you're
definitely.
still friends with him until this
Even
day.
his wife.
Okay. Now I have to ask you, you're talking about trauma, and somebody out there needs to hear this because somebody out there is experiencing trauma right now. Somebody out there is going through something where they're probably saying to themselves they don't even want to live.
Yes.
You've experienced trauma. Do you mind sharing with us what?
I was beaten 2 different times, and a portion of my body was shattered. Then the second time it happened again, the same part. It was later, but that same part was shattered. It is truly amazing that I can lift my hand and arm.
I am so sorry to hear that. And somebody out there, yours might even be, besides beating, it might be other things. But I want you to listen to Dr. Micheal, who today sits in this chair. Somebody who went through something, met somebody in his life, changed the trajectory. But not only that, he himself had to take responsibility
Yes.
for where he is today.
Yes.
And so, Dr. Miller, please continue that, because that person that's listening out there needs to hear what you have to say.
The thing that Michael and Dolores showed me was that it's okay to be who I genuinely am and not feel ashamed about that.
The fact that Micheal changed you, Dr. Michael's life, he changed you on the trajectory that you were heading in, is major and important to you, because today you sit here as the man that you are because of that.
Exactly. And
Yes.
I called him and just tell him that randomly throughout. He said, oh man, you did all. I said, no. If you and Dolores had not loved me unconditionally to hear my stories and help me process through it, I don't even know if I would have lived through the military.
I want to say, What did Micheal do specifically and Dolores do specifically? Because somebody needs to hear that. And somebody that might even want to motivate somebody needs to hear that. How they can help change a young man or a young woman's life.
I don't want to say basic because it was huge, but he kept reaching toward me saying, I care about you. And he also showed me too, like my great-grandmother, my grandfather, my mom had showed me, do you see how people just come to you and share with you? Because they can tell that you care. And by you not trusting people, you're hindering yourself from giving them what they need. And when he said that, because I never attempt to be in people's business at all. But it was just a natural thing. People would just feel like they could come sit by me and just start telling me all their personal business. So I'm sitting there like,
so now,
do I look like somebody who said, come over here and sit down and do that? That's initially how it was. I was like, somewhat attitude-ish, get away from me.
Right.
I'm just being transparent.
No, I want you to be transparent.
But,
so I want to interrupt you. When you learned how, through Micheal, how to express yourself that you can trust people again, what did you do to help move that individual that came?
I gave my life to Christ, first of all, because I kept getting changed every time Micheal and Dolores talked to you. So I went and did that, and from there, God said, I'm going to take all of your pain that you've been through, and I'm going to allow compassion to become so great in you that instead of you being bitter, you're going to continue to get better. More people I listen to, and that's basically all I do, I listen. Matter of fact, the major thing that comes up in my mind is say, may I share something with you? And I've just been doing that since the 80s. It's like breathing. I say, may I share something with you? After I've listened to them and kind of got a handle on what they're dealing with. And of course, nobody has their guard up when you ask for permission. Instead of telling, I just, may I share something?
I am 15 years old. Right now we're at Infinity Aero Club, Tampa. An amazing flight club experience. I want to fly for the Navy. I want to fly fighters, land on boats, and then after that, go to Top Gun, be a test pilot, Blue Angel, things like that. And I want to go and be an astronaut. Absolutely. The only limits that there are for you are the ones that you set for yourself.
Now, Dr. Micheal, might I ask, what is it that you share with individuals?
It's subjective. It depends on what I'm hearing from them.
Right.
Like, depends on what they've been through. Depends on what their perspective of the situation. Because a lot of times, when we think something is one way, it's really not that way.
Right.
But if you don't have somebody to go to and share your perspective, who truly loves you more than themselves, because that's what I do. I love people's success more than I love my own.
Okay.
Then it's an opportunity for me to just give them something to think about.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Now, one of the things I have to ask, you were in the military for 20 years. We've expressed, you've told me that you were married.
Yes.
Did you get married in the military?
Yes. At
Okay.
age 21, December 27th, 1981.
Well, I can tell you right now, you were too young.
I probably should have waited, and I'm grateful that Diana still married me, and we spent those 23 years together. We have 3 beautiful boys.
Yes.
And from 2 of my boys, I now have 2 grandsons from one of them, and I have a granddaughter.
Oh, wow.
So even though we're no longer together,
right.
I wish her the best, and I wish her well, and all
Yes.
that she does, and all the success in the world.
Yes. And I was joking with you.
But I just wanted to, say.
I was joking. I got married at age 21 as
Oh,
well.
you did? Yeah.
So, and the reason I said that is because, looking, as you said, in hindsight, looking back now, I was probably too young to be married at 21.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things I figured out is that at that age, we don't know marriage, the value of what it is to be married. That there are going to be ups and downs,
Yes.
that there are going to be challenges. And so we deal and handle with them differently because we don't have the knowledge. And most of the times we didn't have a book.
Yeah.
Like when you're having children, you don't have a book. I just told somebody the other day, back in my day, all they sent you back home with was a bill. You didn't have a book, a manual to say this is what you do. Breastfeed.
And it's still like that, by the way.
No, somebody just corrected me when I said that and said today some hospitals are giving you a manual. Kudos to them if that's true that they're giving. Because I know back in my day, there was no book. I went home and unfortunately, my husband was in the military. We lived overseas and I was working with education that barely some that I got from my mother, some that I got from my mother-in-law, and that was it. So I understand the fact of you being married young, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge. So with that being said, tell me what are the things that you now know that you can help somebody through that type of situation?
Yes, I believe I would have went to more counseling, to be honest. Counseling would have been consistent counseling. It would have been like going to the gym. Almost. Not every day, but twice a month. That's my expectation. I would say if I got a circle of people that I could talk to and be open and transparent with what I was challenged with, I believe that perhaps I would have been a better husband.
Yes, and we didn't know anything about going to marriage counseling. We didn't have that knowledge. Same thing happened. You did what you thought was best to do in those instances. And it's not always the best decision that we make, but the end result is that we've learned from those things. So that's a betterment for us.
We became better.
Right. So let me ask, and I'm sorry I'm going to delve into this because somebody again needs to hear this because they need to hear your transition. Some person that was not a good husband or not a good wife, some person that was maybe not a good parent, but today to see who you are, please tell me your parenting style. How was it with your children? Because you're a different man on this end of the spectrum.
Well, I think what I would do different was I probably would discipline my children a little less and talk to them more. By me being in the military, all I knew was discipline and correction. And then the other thing that was challenging to me, which I couldn't have changed what I'm getting ready to say, I couldn't talk about the details of my jobs. It was just not a good thing because some of the stuff was classified. I couldn't talk like that.
Okay.
Even though sometimes my wife wanted to know, how was the day? Well, I can't tell you that.
Right.
You know, my kids, Dad, what'd you do today? I went to work. But,
yes.
You know, so those were, I'm sure that was a challenge for them. You know, and as my boys got older, we had more time to just talk about how they felt disconnected in some ways because I couldn't talk to them about certain things, you know. So it didn't mean I loved them, did not love them.
Did not love them.
I just could only give them what I could.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
And then not only that, you came from a world where most of the times adults didn't share that much with children. It was on a need-to-know basis.
Right.
So if you didn't need to know, you didn't need to know. Yes. And that was just it. Dr. Micheal, today we're going to talk about what's on your hat. We're going to take a zoom in on your hat. And we're going to zoom in on your shirt and your hat. Please tell us about stop wasting your time because more than ever, most of the world needs to understand. Today we live in the world, this is it. If you click on anything, whether you click on the TV, you click on Facebook, you click on wherever, there is a commercial coming up to tell you what it is you need to do. Yes. Get my business, get my book, get this, get that, da-da-da-da. So all of these things are distractions to us, most people. And if you click on every single one of them, guess what? You're wasting your time. Dr. Micheal, please address this particular issue on stop wasting your time.
Okay. Well, once I retired from the Air Force, and I realized that I should be a coach. Now, people don't really believe me when I say what I'm getting ready to say, but because of my background and what I came out of, the trauma and all like that, I'm still innately an introvert. I trust everybody now and give you the opportunity for me to trust you. The pain is gone.
Right.
But innately, I had to get so used to, for years, being by myself just to protect myself. But because Michael and Dolores consistently say, man, you know you got value. What God talking to you about now? So I began to tell them, I say, well, hey, I see myself doing seminars. I see myself guiding people with their finances. I see myself doing this. They say, well, okay, so we go pray with you. So they always prayed. And when I go to sleep, 80% of everything that I've become from my journaling comes from when I'm sleeping.
You sit and you journal every night?
I used to.
Okay.
I used to about 4 times a week after my children go to bed, but even before I was married, when I was overseas on Guam, I would only journal those creative and innovative thoughts. I figured out the hack of getting into your purpose. Because everybody go have problems and trouble.
Yes.
The only time I write about those is what I learned.
Right.
So that's still a creative and innovative way to think.
So you pointed out some major things there. Stop wasting your time writing in your journal, writing in your diary, the bad things and the negative things that happen, because those are the things you don't want to see. And if you don't want to see them, you don't write them. Only write the things that are innovative, the things that can change your mind. Only write what you want to see.
Exactly.
Right. So that's basically what it is.
That's
and so
what
for
I'm saying.
you journaled in your book exactly what you wanted to see, and you were able to create those things.
I created them. I'm just saying 80% of them came alive while I was sleeping.
Okay, so you were able, 100% of the time, you were able to create those things.
Exactly.
that you wrote
And
down.
monetize them. Before they even talked about the word monetize in Facebook and social media, I was monetizing stuff.
He's talking about a life-changing situation. Name it and claim it, blab it and grab it, fate. Faith is a mustard seed, whatever it started biblically, as you and I discussed.
Yes.
But because of what he believed, he wrote it down. And we're going to get into something else about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We'll get into that.
Yes.
You told me, what did you tell me about Napoleon Hill reading his book, Think and Grow Rich? How many times did you read it?
I read his book a couple of times, but I found on YouTube about 5 years ago a black and white movie inserts of him talking about his book and the principles. It's a 2.5 hour movie or something like that, but I watched it 12 different times. And you know why I watched it 12 different times? Because I was like, I want to know what I don't know. See, if you always want to know what you don't know, you become better than where you are. Write that down.
Powerful. Write that down. Truly write that down. Because here it is. Now, I did myself maybe about 5 times. You went way beyond me in doing that. So I've actually read the book, and I didn't see the movie, but I would listen to the audio. Ever so often, I would go back and listen to the audio. Now, he's going to have me going back and listening to that, because
If you watch that movie, it's going to shake you up.
Yes.
Because, see, you can rewind the movie. You can take it back.
Right.
And you can find out the details of how to move yourself forward.
And that book is more powerful than any. So this is a
Anything
recommended
on planet
read.
Earth, I'm
Anything
telling you,
is a
because
recommended read.
how about this? Let's just use Warren Buffett as an example, which I've been watching him and listening to his talks for 25 years. Let that sink. I'm okay with talking to millionaires, but I mostly talk to billionaires. When I say talk, I've met a couple of them. But Warren Buffett hasn't met me yet, but he's going to. I'm going to let him know, because of you and me listening to your principles, I've grown a lot. One of the most powerful things he ever said in one of his little short videos about money, he said, 2 rules I live by. Number 1, never lose money. Number 2, remember rule number 1. You don't think about that.
Yes.
That can really cut your losses, your bottom line losses in all areas of your life. You'll spend less money on Nikes, FUBU, Gucci, Prada, keep naming them. Because whatever I spend my money on, I ask myself the question, are they writing me a check of residual back? If the answer is no, which is most of the time no, I am not putting my liquidity, high level liquidity, into that.
It's fine to look nice, but you don't need to wear somebody else's name to look nice.
Hello.
It's
Stop
what he
wasting
said.
your time. It's
Yes.
more economical and it's more
Yes.
powerful. And it's
Yes.
life changing.
Yes. Stop wasting your time. Do you see what he's wearing? He's wearing his brand.
Yeah.
Stop wasting your time. So when he walks down the road and somebody sees him, what do they do?
Is that a joke?
Yes.
I'm just being honest.
Yes, no.
And when I make business calls and I give people my email, they say, may I have your email address? This is the funniest thing. I say, stop wasting your time. They respond one of 2 ways. Oh, you're not wasting my time. I say, hey, that's
It's the
my email address. Oh, are you kidding? I mean, it happens all the time.
But you see how powerful that is? He's wearing his name brand, not somebody else's name brand. And I know a lot of times, especially the poor people, we tend to do that because we want to look as if we're rich. We're not even there. We're not close to there. We're not even by the door. We're way back in the backyard. but still, at the same time, we do. But here you are saying, stop wasting your time. Please emphasize on stop wasting your time, because this is one of the most important interviews that I'm doing today, because I want to change your mindset. You know what I talked about? Mindset. Right. So Dr. Micheal, please.
I'm glad you said mindset, because many people out there tell me, you need to change your mindset. You need to change it. Well, what are you giving them to change their mindset?
Right. So you give them what they need.
I give them what they need. They don't always like it. But simply, you know what God told me, stop wasting your time is doing in the earth. Even if it was your brand, I would support it.
Right.
But he said, I'm giving people an opportunity to be accountable to the time I've given to their life.
Wow.
I'm going to say that again. I'm giving people an opportunity to be accountable to the time I've given to their life. Because I'm not accepting any excuses when you die and go one or two places, wherever that is. This is an accountability cap.
Wow.
That's why this was created. Because a lot of people are so egotistical, they think they got it all together, everything right, they squeaky clean. Let me just wake you up with a news flash.
Now, you told me some sayings that your grandfather told you that until this day, you use them. And you use them to help change people's lives.
Yes. I put them inside the book. One of them is, he said, if a man is willing to wait, he can have whatever he wants. And I said, Grandfather, what does that mean? And he said, that means you don't have to rush and try to get everything overnight. He said, that's what's wrong with you young people. You think you got to get everything right now. And then you get into...
Everything is fast food.
Yeah. You have to get into debt. Then you get into too much debt, you can't handle it, and you lose it.
Yeah. But you know what? There's more opportunities today for us than back in your grandfather's day.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me how you translate that to somebody to help them to be able to navigate through that.
Yes.
Yes.
And the key to that is understanding how to keep what you have. That's what Granddaddy said. He said, a lot of you get things without realizing the responsibility of it.
Yes.
He said, so before you buy something, you probably should think about, can I maintain it? Because everything has maintenance. You get a car, if you got kids, that's going to cost money as well. So he always taught us to be practical.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that you wouldn't have to lose stuff.
Yes.
Everybody needs help at some point in time all your life. My grandfather told me that in his 80s. He said, come here, Michael, let me tell you something. While walking in this one of his fields, he said, I'm going to give you something. You're a grown man now. I'm going to talk to you more like a grown man now. He said, don't you ever, I don't care how much God let you accomplish, don't you ever think you arrived. He said, because as long as you're living, you're going to need somebody, if it ain't nothing but to get a drink of water.
That is powerful, Dr.
So I live with humility because of how my grandfather poured into me, my mother poured into me, and my great-grandmother. And they weren't long-winded talks. They were brief, profound statements that were timeless.
So you've gotten the information, so there's no excuse. And this is international we're talking about. We're not just talking about local here in the United States. You can live any part of the world and get in contact with Dr. Micheal. Now, I want to say that this is going to be a two-part series because the information is so powerful. So right now, we're going to say bye. But listen, we're going to be back next week with continuing with Dr. Micheal. So bye for now.